And we're rolling.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Good Morning Chaldea, where a bunch of weebs try to explain what fate is. I'm Cole.
Jamek.
Jacob.
And I'm back. It's me, Whaito.
Whaito-san! Yeah!
What is back is part 2 of our White Day special.
I'll be honest, I forgot everything that happened in the last episode.
It was a while ago, yeah.
Yeah, a really long time ago. So, we managed to get the catalyst working for Whaito-san again, got the Mountain Dew in Doritos, so, you know.
Summoning worked out this time.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was part of the ritual, but you surprised me.
So, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of more stuff, weird stuff about Fate today. We're going to start out with what is a servant and what do they do? How do you summon one? How does it work? So, what are the requirements for summoning a servant and to make a servant? Whaito-san, why don't you start us off with this?
Well, a servant is essentially a persona. And
from the Persona franchise.
Yes, from the Persona franchise.
All right.
Of course.
Yes.
And
Of course, Mr. Persona.
It is summoned by realizing your own true inner desires, your own self, and that allows you the strength to overcome the way you're perceived and how you want to be perceived. And then the persona / servant is actually just you, but the true self. And you team up with them, and you pose a lot, and you have a grand old time.
That's almost how demi-servants work.
That's cool.
It is at least. It's also kind of how servants work in Extra a little bit.
You're not wrong about that. So, Cole.
Yes, so a servant is a general term used to describe the summoned form of a heroic spirit, which is just the representation of a person from history or legend that exists in the public consciousness. Like I talked about last episode, characters like King Arthur, Alexander the Great, and many others.
Whether they actually existed or not.
Yeah. All that matters, really, is that they sort of have like I said, a existence in like the overall consciousness of
if people believe if people know about them, they exist to a certain extent, you know.
And I don't think there's a like you must be this cool to ride like thing for servants, which we can also get into. And then they are summoned pretty much exclusively during Holy Grail Wars through a ritual that at the beginning using a catalyst which is a item that is associated with that servant. For example, in the anime Fate Zero, to summon King Arthur, they used Avalon, the scabbard that held Excalibur.
Right.
Yeah. Obviously.
What do you think?
What do you think about that?
So, you say they are usually summoned during Grail Wars, but they can be summoned other times too?
Technically, yes, but they require so much magical energy.
Mana,
which
right.
which the Grail mostly provides, that it's pretty much impossible to do outside of a Holy Grail War.
So why aren't the Grails always around?
Yeah, I don't know. They only come around every 50 years.
So, yeah, it started out with the Grail was this artifact that was summoned by a group of these families, and the process could only repeat every so often. In different things, though, it's kind of arbitrary between different series.
Very, in fact.
Yeah.
So, that's roughly how Sabans work.
But what types of classes are there?
That's a great
I
question.
there were quite a few.
So,
there are 12.
Hold on. So, there are 7 main servants that even you probably know this much because we played part of the Fate game.
Yeah, the Fate RPG that I made.
Right, exactly.
You played that.
Yes.
So there are Lancers, Sabers, Archers, the Knight classes, and then the Cavalry classes, which are riders, as you might imagine, but
Yeah.
it's really the only one that refers to cavalry. And then the other ones, which are assassin, caster, and berserker. Berserker sometimes falls into its own category as well. But anyway, there's 7, right? And then there's a whole bunch more, and most of them are stupid. Can you try to name some of those for me?
Let's see, I've heard the terms ruler,
Right? Yeah.
moon cancer.
You have heard moon cancer.
We have mentioned it.
It took a moment when I first heard it to really grasp what was being said.
But now you understand it, right? Because there's a supercomputer moon that houses the Grail, so it's a
And
cancer within that moon.
Yeah,
and
like
that
a virus.
needs its own class.
It's obvious it's the moon's fox die. Got it. Okay. That makes sense, I guess. As much sense as one could hope, I suppose.
So ruler, moon cancer.
Jester.
That's a great idea, but
That
I don't
is
think
almost.
that's real.
There is one that uses a gesture as like its sort of picture, but
Oh. There's another one you might remember. What was Cole playing last time?
Oh yeah, Avenger. Right?
Avenger.
That's right, yeah. Do you know any others? Or can you come up with anything that sounds like a plausible?
More importantly,
That's the real trick. Yeah. I'm gonna guess Chrono Mage.
That's a really good guess, yeah.
but would that fall under caster?
Oh,
no.
that's a good question.
It has to have its own class
They're
entirely.
probably an archer, right?
Yeah.
Under the archer subclass.
Yeah, why
It doesn't shoot arrows, so obviously it must be an archer.
I understand that is a Fate meme.
It is, in fact, one of many Fate memes. The Archer class is made up of archers, as we all know.
As we all
Very
know.
powerful.
I'll give you a hint on this one. There's one that's based off of a defensive implement.
Shield?
Yeah, what would the term for that be?
Shielder?
Yes, a
Really?
shielder.
Yes.
Which there
Shielder.
is one in
There's exactly
Just
one.
the main female lead of Fate Grand Order, the mobile
So
game.
they make new classes just for specific characters.
Yes.
Yes, in
Yes,
fact,
they do.
mostly
Quite often.
most of the special characters are for 1 or 2 characters. Avenger and Ruler are kind of different. There's a bit
Yeah,
more of those.
they've played with those a bit more, but there is a few others. There's the alter ego, which it's honestly the most weird of all of them. I can understand the qualifications for being like a shielder or a ruler or an avenger, but an alter ego is kind of weird.
It's just like
It's defined by
So,
what something else is. Right?
Batman would be an archer, maybe.
we'll have this debate later.
Batman would be an archer, but Bruce Wayne would be an alter ego.
And they'd actually be two distinct.
Yeah, of
physically
course.
different
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah, obviously.
There's also, I believe the only one we haven't touched upon that is, at least in Grand Order, is the Foreigner, which is basically anything...
It's not a Gaijin class.
No, that is what it's called in Japanese.
That's
though.
what that
It's-
means. The word means in
Yeah,
Japanese.
but it's basically anyone who gets their power from a great old one.
It's a great old.
yeah,
They're
an eldritch
They're
space
great old ones
monster.
in Fate.
It's a
Sure.
great old one warlock.
Sort of. Only in the weird expanded content, but technically yes.
Okay.
There are a couple that haven't appeared in Grand Order yet that are even weirder. There's like the Watcher class, and there's I don't know, but there's some. Basically, they
Hybrid
like to
classes.
come up with new classes for very special characters in each of their stories.
Okay.
These are the special people ones. Like
Yeah.
these are our special snowflake characters. Is what I was
Exactly.
going
The
for.
offerings.
This is my OC.
Yeah, exactly.
Still.
So that's the general idea. Now I want to get into kind of a broader topic that we've been kind of leaning into here is the weird inconsistencies and shows within Fate. The inconsistencies. It's 7 p.m.
No, it's 5.
It's
5
not
o'clock
7
and all as
p.m.
well.
Just set that alarm
He has a
earlier.
weird alarm at that time. Anyway, so generally speaking, though, we're talking about weird inconsistencies and things in the Fate universe that kind of don't follow the rules of other Fate. Because the rules in Fate are pretty straightforward. You know, you summon 7 servants, 6 of them die, technically 7, and then you get to make a wish. Yay! But what's some of the weirder stuff that they do with this?
I
You
mean-
want to lead this?
Yeah, kind of the very first canon Fate thing kind of breaks its own rules massively. In Stay Night, so spoilers for the Stay Night if you haven't seen anything.
Which part? How late of it are you spoiling here? Like, how major of a spoiler are we
The
talking?
end of the Blade Works arc.
That's a pretty big spoiler. I don't know if we should throw that in here. You know, like that's like the end of the anime.
Fair enough.
But
But-
I don't want to kill your thunder here. But
If you've seen the Blade Works story of Stay Night, like who Archer is
Yes.
kind of screws with how Fate works.
that's the reasonable thing to say.
Archer is pretty unique. I believe he's the only one
Archer
considered to be...
Fuyuki, that is.
I
Does
believe
not work.
I believe he's the only one like that sort of in even the expanded universe
Yeah, maybe.
of...
So, let's see here. One of my favorite things that breaks the rules of this universe is some of the side content in the Fate universe doesn't actually take place in a Grail War, and when they don't, everything goes mad. Very obvious, that was the cooking show we mentioned last week. This is a very simple one where people just cook food and eat together, and it's nice because they're usually trying to kill each other.
Yeah.
And, it's nice to see them
It is.
actually being happy and enjoying each other's company.
Except for
once.
Shinji.
Yeah,
I
Shinji
know,
can die in a fire.
doesn't-
Fuck Shinji.
So, the important thing here, though, is maybe the weirdest thing that's ever come to pass within Fate is a wonderful little show called Prisma Ilya Kaleid Liner Zwei Hertz 3 Hertz. I can't pronounce it because all the sequels have German names like Zwei or Drei, but then they replace the first letter with the number, so it's 3 Rye or 2 By.
Why would they do that?
Because Japan has some hard on for the German language, and then they're
I mean,
like,
I get that, but
Fate specifically, all of Reen's spells are in German.
Yeah.
If I'm correct.
pretty sure that's true.
I believe the summoning ritual is sometimes done in German as
Which
well.
is weird because she definitely uses a Celtic rune power at some point too.
It's all the same general area. All those white people are the same.
All them white Europeans. So anyway, basically, this show is a show featuring the little sister character of Fate's Stay Night. Yeah, so you know what this means. Now,
Technically big sister character.
we don't talk about that. She's this little girl who is the half sister or whatever of the
not
main
related by
character.
blood.
No,
Not related by
Not
blood.
related by blood,
Oh,
of
good.
course not. And
I know where this is going.
No, you do, but in the weirdest way. The little sister character in Fate Stay Night, who is sort of an enemy, sometimes friend. It depends on the route, basically. And she gets her own spin-off series. Isn't that nice?
that nice?
Her
Also
name is
set in an alternate
her name
universe.
is Ilya, Ilya Sviel, and she is from one of the 3 main houses of the mage families. So she's, obviously a very important person. She's also a homunculus baby, sort of, because
Half homunculus.
her mother's homunculus. Anyway, whatever, it's not important. The point is, the important part here is that she's a magical girl.
Good.
in this series.
Only in the same.
That was about the best reaction.
So, Reen and her rival have been button heads, and oops, they dropped their magic wands, and
They drop them.
they drop them out of the sky.
Actually, don't the magic wands abandon them?
Yeah, they get mad at them,
Yeah.
I guess.
The magic wands of sentient.
Oh, yes, of course they are.
They
Cool.
will not stop
They are
talking.
very much like the thing from Madoka Magica, except I guess a little more benign, but still equally creepy.
A little less evil than Cube.
Yes, less evil, still creepy though. Magical wand, I should not say rod. Wand drops from the sky and decides that Ilya is going to be the master. And She takes it up and becomes a magical girl, and it's basically that simple. They go around collecting cards.
Yeah,
of servants.
the first season is essentially card captor with
It is card captor.
Yeah, and-
It's card captor Iliasville.
They have to fight like all of the original servants from Stay Night to get their class cards, and then they can use their abilities once they get them.
And as previously said, no Holy Grail War.
Yep. Nope.
Doesn't exist. But there's a whole bunch of OC characters, like the other magical girl. I can't remember her
Miyu?
name. Sure, me.
Yeah.
That could be it. And then
there's two. Wait.
that is one
What?
of them. That's the one I was referring to. And then later on, what is the confusion?
Who's the other OC?
Kuro.
Who
who is also Ilya. But when Ilya tries to use one of the cards, her personality gets overloaded and explodes into two different personalities. One of which is her normal self, albeit a little drained of power, and the other is the black version of herself. Hence Kuro. They call her Black Ilya. Showing picture.
Yes.
Black, and so they shorten to Kudo. It's anyway. They call her Chloe. It's a pun.
It's a pun.
Yes, as Japanese titles love to do. It's a pun. So, Black Iliasville, henceforth to be known as Kuro, or Chloe.
Yeah, she takes the name Chloe later.
Yeah. She's messed up.
She is the best goddamn
No slamming the table. All right, so sorry about that. Anyway, so no, she's terrible because
Rip headphone users.
she will absolutely. Her whole thing is that she needs more magical energy, and I don't know if we've mentioned this. In fact, I know we have not.
Okay.
But
go on.
one of many ways to transfer magical energy in Fate.
No.
I think we can leave it at that. I think he gets the point.
Well, physical contact is technically all that's required. But as it turns out, making out is way easier and more effective, faster.
At least in this timeline. In other timelines, it goes a bit further than that, but we're not going to get into that.
See, and that's mostly due to weird, old issues. But yeah, we won't get into it.
Did I mention that the original novel, the original visual novel, is kind of
an Eroge, as they know him?
I see.
Yeah.
They fuck to get magic energy.
It's a little lewd.
Thanks.
Right?
Wow. my virgin ears.
But yeah, basically, there's all kinds of kissing. She's called one of her special abilities in Fate Grand Order is called Kissing Demon.
Kiss Demon, yeah.
Kiss Demon. Because she's a demon for
the
kisses.
band, right?
Unfortunately not.
Okay.
But no, the show's messed up, and it really just has nothing to do with normal Fate at all. It's just this weird own thing that just does a fan servicey nonsense spiel. It's kind of great, but also, but mostly.
I just love how after 15 minutes of ranting about how weird this show is, you finally admit, yeah, it's kind of great.
That's the thing about all these Fate spin-offs.
It's mostly just weird.
It's the thing about this Fate spin-offs is that they're fan servicey and fun. But they're not really deep. The original content, the main series content, like Fate Zero, even Fate Apocrypha and stuff to some extent. They have some deep character building, and that's probably their best thing is that they have these interesting character interactions with historical figures from the past, their own unique perspectives on things, and how they interact with their masters. That's usually kind of a sticking point of the interesting divisions between them. They just throw all that out the door with some of these shows, though, and it works to some extent, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I know.
So, Jacob, how would you say Fate compares to Metal Gear Solid, for example?
for those of you who don't know, White is minorly obsessed with Metal Gear.
Oh, please, that's not a fair description. I'm majorly obsessed. Well, see, Metal Gear is kind of complex, and there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts, and the series spans
It is about robots, I would imagine.
No, just kind of. It's about giant
name
mechs,
has
kind of. But it's mostly harmless fun with a serious anti-nuke message.
Anti-nuke message.
Anti-nuke message? What are you talking about?
Just like Godzilla.
Yeah, just like Godzilla.
Is Godzilla a weapon to surpass Metal Gear?
No.
Dude, that new Godzilla trailer looks awesome though.
Yeah, we need to all go see this now that we all now that I finally got.
Yeah,
you guys
once
going.
they put Godzilla and Fate,
not
then
into...
I will.
Oh, dude,
that's just
you
that's
would be
the next
okay.
logical step.
Berserker Godzilla would be.
Berserker Godzilla,
Oh.
give it to me right
or
now.
at least some sort of a... I
Dude.
could see them doing a... like something else, but in the form of a kaiju.
Yeah.
Kaiju.
Bro.
I mean, that's essentially what
King Protea is almost there already.
I was about to say. Like, fucking Ivan is essentially a kaiju.
These are future characters. I don't even know about this. But yeah, no, some of them do look cool. But yeah, no, I would actually love
Titan Altera.
a kaiju. I would actually love a kaiju server. That'd be awesome.
That'd be pretty neat.
I mean, it'd be difficult because I'm pretty sure they're copyrighted. But
Well, no, it would be like you would take some sort of
A big
a famous
monster.
monster from history and have it be
Loch
in
Ness
the game
monster,
in the
Bigfoot.
form
I
of
guess you
like
could do
a
that.
big kaiju type monster is how they could do it.
sure, I guess.
I mean, they could have done that with like
Want a laser
Cat's
lizard.
It could literally-
I know
Yeah.
it's radiation. Well, isn't radiation just light, which is also
Well,
a
light is a
laser?
form of radiation.
Right, so you could
It's a
argue that
subset,
So,
though.
laser
continuing to spiral on this downward path, I was having this debate on Godzilla stat block if for D&D.
This is too far.
We are
okay.
clear out of the field. We need to rein it back in.
Let us know in the comments if you want us to talk about D&D at some point, because that's an entirely different podcast. But
We're only
Do a
4
spin-off.
episodes in. We can't start a spin-off podcast yet.
Maybe- that'll be our episode 10 bonus episode. Anyway, so let's move on to our next topic. We wanted to talk about Nasu. Nasu is
Saint Nasu.
Saint Nasu. You know what? Why don't you describe it, Cole? I think you could do this. pretty
So, this kid decided one day, hey, I want to fuck King Arthur, but I don't want people to think I'm weird. So, he created an entire franchise based around the hook that King Arthur was a girl, but that was too weird for him. So, he decided to make an entire franchise about a whole bunch of historical characters that he turned into women. To just fight each other because he's weird like that. I actually have no idea.
Weird
like-
for that.
Then why is Prototype Arthur a guy?
But what do you mean, bro? Prototype Arthur's not even like a real character. He's just like in a spin-off thing that doesn't really
Prototype-
exist.
Prototype is the story as it existed before it turned into the form we know as.
But no one,
Staying
like,
away.
people know about Proto Arthur because I guess he exists. I mean, he's even going to be on the White Day banner for
Yeah,
gosh
they,
darn
I mean,
sake. but-
Fragments of Sky Silver is its own fully fledged story. It's just the actual prototype story that isn't.
yeah. The point is, no one gives a crap because it's not a girl.
Exactly.
So
But yeah, Nasu is essentially the person who created Fate. And
created Fate, and not just Fate, but like he's like the main writer for everything in the Nasu verse, is what we call it, because
Tsukihime, Karno Kyokai.
yeah,
Carnival Phantasm.
Tsukihime is
Phantasm.
like a vampire story. They exist in the same universe. Carnival Phantasm is the crossover between Tsukihime and Fate that has nothing to do with either of their stories, except that
It's just comedy.
it's just comedy.
pure
and
comedy gold.
It is the best thing in all of the Nasu
It really is.
Okay.
It is the funniest thing ever.
Is Kara no Kyokai in
Yes, it is.
Carnival Phantasm?
Yeah, definitely.
I do not remember.
It has it
I
shares
think
characters with
Shiki shows up
Tsukihime.
in the very end.
The red-haired mage lady.
No, that's
It's
Alko. Toko is her
that's
sister.
That's what I'm saying. It's like they're sisters. They exist in
Right.
the same universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely part of the Nasu.
I think technically they're all supposed to be slightly different timelines, but it doesn't matter.
Whatever.
It doesn't matter.
They have similar like stuff from like the church who wield their like stupidly 3-foot long knives, quote unquote.
Yeah,
They
that's
kinda-
right.
the-
CL
the
has the
Wolverine
same
ones.
kind of shtick as Kira.
That's right. Yeah. So anyway, there's a lot of
And
like crossover.
Amakusa.
There's a lot of crossover, but there's not much direct crossover. They're all self-contained, but there's a lot of weird like elements that pop in from each other for whatever reason. Anyway, it's not really important. The important part is Nasu is a lunatic. He's a really good writer, as it turns
but
out.
he's also clinically insane.
Yeah, that's correct. So
like most writers.
let's give us a few examples here. Jake, you want to start us out here?
Well, there is our current running joke of that how we say that everything is a reversal of causality.
I do.
That's
know that.
because that's like one of Nasu's favorite writing tricks things they puts in there. It started out with just one of the servants in Stay Night had a spear that reversed causality. Like it kills you, therefore it always strikes the heart because the heart has to get stabbed in order to. And it's like as a one-off thing. Okay, yeah, that's kind of cool.
My 6-year-old brain was like, "That is the coolest shit I've ever heard." Also, it's kind of bullshit though, because Saber's just really lucky and just dodges it because she's really lucky, and I'm like, if you reverse the causality, how are you just lucky enough to dodge? Her instinct is really high.
I don't know.
Whatever.
He also, Nasu also likes to write everything out in game terms, so he specifically says that your defense does not affect this causality reversing strike. You have to have high enough luck, or just be far enough away. That
let's bring up the fact that when writing an anime or a light novel or a manga or whatever the heck the visual novel, I mean, Fate Stay Night was. He wrote all of the characters with letter grade statistics in each stat.
So that was from the beginning?
Yes.
Yes.
For no reason at all. Except
it has no impact on the game
literally
whatsoever.
None. It's all like in his head, because this guy's just this nerd. He's this huge nerd who just wants to give all these characters stat blocks. And these same stats have then been brought into everything else from there. There's a card game that uses these stat blocks, as well as the actual Fate Grand Order video game. There also has the and Fate Extra, for what it's worth. All use the same.
To be fair, Fate
concept.
Extra, you are essentially playing a video game while playing a video game. The Extraverse.
Yeah, it's an actual game. Unlike most visual novels in the series, Fate Extra was a video game. Like it had gameplay. You ran around and fought things and dungeon things.
And then there was Extella, which was like a Dynasty Warriors thing.
Yeah, that was a
the
weird
same
one.
timeline. Yeah.
So, he loves this idea of reversing causality. And the thing is, it's not that he's just done it like the one time, you know? That'd be like, okay, that's funny. Literally every show has an instance of it, usually multiple. Mm-hmm. Like I started laughing because like every time I see it now, I just start laughing. I can't help myself. I was reading the event for New Year's or whatever it was. There's some, I think it was New Year's. I don't remember. There's some event that had a short storyline in Fate Grand Order, and during it they have an example of like Altara or someone like that reversing causality, and I'm like, how can you do this? Everything. What's even a single other example?
I was trying to think of one. I guess the Mystic Eyes of Death Perception might be.
That's a very good example. Mm-hmm. Mystic Eyes of Death Perception is that's the whole point of Tsukihime. Is the main character has mystic eyes of death perception, not
Karno
death.
Kyokai too.
Yes, Karno Kyokai. Both stories heavily feature this concept. And the idea is that when you have death perception eyes, you can... I hate saying that. It's so much easier in Japanese because there's no weird pun around it. But anyway...
For once.
Yeah, the English is the one that has the accidental pun. So it might not have been accidental, who knows. But the point is, both these shows heavily feature that, and the idea is that when you have like a near-death experience or whatever, you learn to be able to see death on other things. For some people, they can only see it on other people, but the stronger cases of it can see it on everything, including objects. They see the death of them. And when I say that, I mean like if it's like a line or a whole, like a black dot on something, and if you stab the dot or cut along the line, it just... And that would make sense to a certain extent. You know, if you cut along something, it cuts. But like, I mean, if they took like a butter knife and went like slice on their arm... You know, it would just like their arm would cease to exist. They cause the death to occur, therefore the arm is cut. You know, exactly. It's the most obvious example of it, actually, past Gable, which is, I mean, it depends. Like, this is a Fate podcast, so more people probably know about Gable since it belongs to the Kukulane servant, which is the best early game servant, so pretty much everybody understands who this
I think
character is.
Go,
a
yeah.
lot of noble phantasms specifically involve causality reversal.
Yeah, that's true. There's like these 4 different kinds of gay bulk, so.
but even beyond that, there's a lot of other...
that's a good thing to talk about. How many freaking different versions of each character there are. This is some nonsense BS, honestly.
I'm guessing it's more than a couple.
Cole, why don't you tell us a little bit about...
Well, let's pick a servant here, and then we'll see what kind of different... So let's say King Arthur. What kind of different versions of King Arthur do you think exist in the Fate franchise?
Yeah, the franchise poster girl. I know.
Yes.
I mean, briefly before I make my guesses, I'm reminded of a couple of weeks back, or whenever you're talking about the male version of King Arthur, and just walk outside. That's just so dumb. The fact that you have to specify because that's not the default.
I'm right there with you, man. That's pretty funny.
Like I remember, like that was the big thing keeping me from really getting into Fate when I first started it, because I used to be like a bigger like mythology and history nerd, and that like I got super like butthurt about that, but I got over it because King Arthur.
Because waifus,
yeah. So let's see. You talked about the prototype King Arthur.
Right. So that's the male one. You got that.
Yeah, okay, good. Off to a good start.
And of course, there's just the base level version in Fate, which is the female.
Yeah, I've
that you get that one for free.
Cool. That was gonna be my next guess anyway. Then there's, King Arthur's son, who is also identical.
Who's also King Arthur? Yes.
Yeah.
We're not looking for the all of the different characters.
Not
that look
every
like King Arthur, because
That's
there's way too many of those.
I forgot about that. Yeah, not only is there a lot of versions of King Arthur, there's also a lot of people who look just like Arthur, known as saber faces, for no reason at all. For example, Emperor Nero. That's a good one.
Joan of Arc.
Just looks like our saber.
Okay.
No
Just
real.
because?
Yeah, pretty much. I think it's a running
Kizasanji.
joke at this point for some reason. I couldn't really tell. There's a literal event in Fate Grand Order called Saber Wars that is a space-based Star Wars parody where all of them are like these saber face characters. This is not a joke. This is real. I just finished rolling on the Valentine's Day event for the Darth.
Are you done
So
guessing
This
different
doesn't count,
versions?
but anyway,
You're about to give him one.
that's not one.
That is.
That does not count.
It does.
Okay, so prototype
Yep.
and girl, and then there's Robo Saber. I'm guessing.
Kinda. Yeah.
Like okay.
A little bit, but.
Dark Saber,
Definitely Dark Saber.
Lightsaber.
Yeah.
By the way, all dark characters are known as
Alter.
alters. That's their term,
Got
like
it.
Saber Alter.
It's
or-
like the darkest version of a character.
The idea behind an alter is really that a character has this alternate personality
Got
within
it.
them,
Which
that's
is where you
born
would think
from-
the alter egos would come from.
Their
but
shadow.
no.
Got it.
Right. It's just like
It's their
King
persona.
Arthur is a specifically interesting example because King Arthur is known as this knight who protected everyone by being perfect, right? That was the general idea of the character arc in Fate. And then her alter form is the version that's like, screw these people. Like, I was perfect, and then they didn't even care, whatever.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Very Persona.
Yeah. So, do you have any more ideas?
okay, let's
Lightsabers,
see.
obviously.
Yeah, lightsaber,
Very
obviously.
good idea, yeah.
Then we've got Berserker Saber.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, you're not wrong. There is a Berserker Saber in terms of there being a Berserker Arturia, yeah.
Metal Gear Saber.
Yeah, actually, yes. Yes.
I just threw out the stupid.
Would you like me to give you the rundown of the actual list here?
Um,
Of just the versions in Grand Order, which I think are all of them?
Sure, let's go. For
Okay,
it.
so there is the normal Artoria Pendragon as seen in Stay Night and Zero.
We get it, that one.
There is a younger version, Saber Lily, which is the her as a kid.
Not Saber Lolly.
I think that's part of the joke.
I literally never
No,
thought
me
of that.
neither.
There is a summer version with a squirt gun wearing a swimsuit,
Also, just so you know,
which is of course an archer class.
the squirt gun also she sticks Excalibur in the nozzle
Yeah, it's like a
and hits people with it. Just so you know.
Oh, I'm glad I know that.
This game's messed up.
There is a Lancer version, which is riding a horse and is a little more like adult. The normal version is like sort of teenager because supposedly Avalon stunted her growth, and then the Lancer version is she isn't carrying this scabbard, so she's
Or
like an adult
Excalibur.
now. Right.
She's using a lance.
Then we have Saber Altar, which is the dark version. There's a dark version of the Lancer form.
For no reason that we can determine.
There is another dark version that's of the summer form, which is a rider who has a water gun sniper rifle and a motorcycle.
That was and in a maid costume.
Yes, also there's a Christmas one of the dark version, which is
Santa
wearing
Altar.
it's Santa Altar.
That's a really good one. She has to deliver all the presents to the boys and girls because
She wants to fix her bad image.
Fix her bad image. That was
Got
it.
it.
Yep.
There is
So she killed Santa.
there
That's
is the
correct,
Saber Wars one, which is an alien who came to kill all the other sabers.
Her name is Mysterious Heroine X.
I've
Yes,
heard that.
hiding her identity.
and I can't say I'm happy about it.
a lot
She's the
closer
lightsaber.
a lot closer to the Saber Lily one. She's like younger than the normal version. Then there's Mysterious Heroine X Alter, which is the
Of course,
dark
of
version,
course.
which is a
Why
berserker, and has a double-bladed sword, which is
Lightsaber.
again, it's
It was-
basically a Darth
no,
Maul
it is
reference.
a lightsaber.
It is a lightsaber.
Of course.
Then we have Mysterious Heroine XX, which is
Way more X, more
wearing
X.
a mecha suit and using the lance of the Lancer version. But is still it's technically the summer version of Mysterious Heroine XX.
Every day
so.
we stray further from God's holy light.
So that's like 10 or 11 versions. I mean, obviously, this character has the most versions of anyone else in Fate because
Yeah.
she's kind of the
mascot.
Yeah,
the
she is
mascot of
mascot.
Type Moon as a whole.
That's true.
But
Type Moon is the company that makes Fate
Okay.
yeah.
and other things like Tsukihime.
But
Moon cancer.
yeah, that's
Type
just
Moon Cancer.
that's just an example of how crazy Fate can get riffing on itself. Do we have anything else we want to sort of take care of before we wrap up?
Yeah, Fate Go memes.
Yes, we're going. Let's go over
round.
some of these real quick.
So, Fate Grand Order, like we said, it's this weird collaboration of all these things. And there's been a lot of, like, memes and, like, community in-jokes because of it. Cole, why don't you start us off? What's a good
so
one?
I think the biggest meme, especially right now, is the Buster meme. The fact that Buster in the current meta is so for
What's a Buster?
Buster is one of the 3 card types, basically.
It's
There's
the hot
Buster,
rock,
which
paper,
deals more
scissors,
damage.
Okay.
Quick gets you critical abilities on the next turn, and Arts gets you more meter.
Yeah, and since Buster deals the most damage, people are like, "Duh, red card hit hard, and just build teams based around it.
The thing is, there's a lot of really good support for Buster.
that's the
There's a
big
lot
thing.
of abilities that only
Merlin
buff
exists.
your Buster cards specifically. And then it's just like, well, here's one that buffs your Buster by 1,000,000 and then makes your crits do 1,000,000 damage. So if you can just get a decent crit off with it, you'll be doing like hundreds of thousands of damage.
And any, like, quick version of that ability is much weaker. Like,
Yeah.
there are certain, sort of the equipment, the craft
Yeah.
essences, where the Buster and Arts versions are just better than the quick version.
Okay.
No, it's a meme because also Merlin exists, and Merlin is
The most broken character in the game.
He's really broken, and it's funny because he's really broken by himself. He does everything basically. He heals your team, gives them everything they could possibly want. Yes, he can. And that the funny thing is, he's good by himself. What's better is 2 Merlins, and you can do this by having your own Merlin and a support servant. But have someone else's Merlin join your team. You can always have one of those, and so you have 2 Merlins, just like basically like doing a circle jerk with each other, and then there's one servant in the middle who gets like stupidly buffed by this.
They just burst all over the servant in the middle.
We're getting a little too.
All right, listen. The term "circle jerk" is a widely accepted internet term.
Just keep moving.
That is not.
Move on, please.
It's your problem, not mine. All right, I just want everyone to know that.
So you double up your Merlin.
You double the Merlin, you double the fun. Also, Merlin's also a meme because in the Fate universe, he turned King Arthur back into a guy to collect some
Basically, to get Mordred.
To collect some semen so that he could then use that to impregnate, what was her name? Morgan Le Fay?
I think Morgan Le Fay was.
And then that's how.
It all makes so much sense.
Yeah, that's the dumbest thing in Fate, probably.
That's the dumbest
I
thing.
think so.
It's
pretty dumb.
definitely up there.
Yeah, all the bullshit around the fact that King Arthur is a girl, I'd say, is kind of the dumbest stuff.
They really have to work hard to explain it, and Merlin
It
becomes
does actually. There
he's a
are
meme
some
character.
We'll get into the whole.
I like to imagine just that Merlin is fully aware that he is a fictional character.
Well, he literally
Probably
in the
is.
final battle thing, he references the fact that you will be like rolling for him in a few days, and I'm like.
And then, I could have come to help, but I don't want you to be relying on me all the time, so I'm gonna let other people, come in and do stuff.
Anyway,
because otherwise...
what's your submission for meme?
For meme, you know what? Come back to me. I haven't really thought about it.
My favorite meme is the idea that Quick is not good now. Quick cards are not good now, but they will be exclusively once Scotty gets here.
Scotty is so good.
Because this idea that in Japan, everyone's like, ooh, all these Quick teams are so good, but we can't even really use them yet. So it's just become this thing. We came up with a phrase in episode 1 that was like, when Scotty gets here, I forget. Whatever. It's not important.
A year and a half from now.
It's not what I meant, but I appreciate you. I don't know. It's a pretty amusing idea to me that I have all these quick servants. I'm like, maybe they'll be good someday, but they're pretty much garbage now because every servant's kind of set in what their things are. You can't really change it around. So if they're good at quick cards, it's kind of useless until the quick becomes good. And even that's only if you get certain servants anyway, and the odds of that are pretty low. So I'm like, why is this even a meta thing? It doesn't really make sense.
In the heart of the cards.
Yeah, exactly. All right, anything else we wanted to throw out there? No?
Well,
okay, well, I guess we're good. I don't know. I thought there was more memes. I think
there is.
Right up as a line
argue.
is the main meme.
Yeah.
One could argue that Fate Go itself is a meme.
Well, it
It
kind of
is.
is. The whole thing is just this weird fan servicey thing, like we mentioned. It's just like, it's kind of its own joke, and it gets that it's a joke. Sometimes it's pretty self-aware, but
Honestly, it makes fun of itself in the form of
Yeah.
comics sort of pastiching the player who is just in it for the gotcha and the waifus.
yeah.
Tell me about Blackbeard.
Oh no! Why do you know?
And with that, we need to move on to our closing segment. Right up is a lie. Up today is Cole. Cole, do you have a story for us today?
If you don't, that's okay. We'll pass it to White Song.
I did.
Well, I've got a story.
I did, but that Blackbeard knocked it out of me.
All right, White Sun, tell us a story about how Raid Up is a lie.
Okay, well, you see, I was playing Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
The Phantom Pain. And
My favorite gotcha game.
yeah, my favorite gotcha game. Actually, if you really want to get me mad, we could talk about Metal Gear Survive. But we're not.
I thought talk about Pachinko.
Oh, no.
That too. So you know what? We're gonna talk about that now. Why? Why did they do
This is a Metal Gear podcast now.
Konami, why?
Konami is evil. To be
They
fair.
literally are.
They're evil
literal
sorcerers.
like comic villains. They were trying their hardest to be evil. It's
Welcome
insane.
to another episode of Good Morning, Colonel.
Go. Colonel, who are these anime women?
They're called wifers.
No, this is definitely a question for Otacon.
Otacon 100% plays fake though. Like,
He definitely plays fake.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a good question.
It's
for
just
you.
like one of his.
Who is
Japanese
Otacon's favorite Fate waifu?
Ooh.
I think
I
if
mean, I
anyone
don't
will know,
know.
it's you.
I don't know too many characters in Fate is the problem, but I guess I can describe the super nerdy character who wears glasses and probably a lab coat. And
It's MASH. It's just MASH.
sure,
Smash could also be. I'm thinking of a
Osaka
character.
Behime.
I was
that's a
actually,
good guess.
I was
yeah.
actually thinking of Consort U, but
When does she
that's
wear a lab
not-
coat?
She does.
What?
Actually.
All right, I don't know
but
anything about Chinese
spoilers,
servants.
we're not going to get
Yeah,
into
that's
that.
too much. So, we're going to go with tentatively main character Mash Normie, but that's okay because Mash is a great girl.
That's Otacon. Yeah.
Yeah. Have we talked about Mash? We haven't at all. She's
have
the
not.
shielder, by the
She's
way.
the best
good.
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is also maybe the best girl in there, but I mean, it's still Reed.
Fun
so.
fact, she was supposed to be a rival to Saber way back in the original visual novel.
That's actually an
They drew up
amusing thought.
They drew up a character design and everything, but she kept getting cut from every single project until Fate Girl.
They're like, well, we need like 1 billion OCs for this, so
Yeah.
let's just throw her in there. All right, nice. I think that wraps up our episode.
So,
It's been an episode.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
No, thank
White
you for
Sun.
having me. Yeah, it's been an honor.
and thank all of you, our listeners, for sticking with us through this 2-part series, I guess, of explaining the Fate franchise. We will see you guys next time, and as always, see ya!
Sayonara.
And cut.